Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite novellas that I read in 2024. Hello, how are you? How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? This week we are entering into our end of the year content, which is kind of fun. I've already done a couple of videos wrapping up my favorite books of the year, my most disappointing books of the year. But in this video, I really wanted to focus on my favorite novellas that I read in 2024. I love novellas. I love them so much, and I read a lot of them because I'm such a mood reader. I love reading different genres and different tropes, and there's something so satisfying about being able to finish a novella in one sitting. Some people don't like novellas because they might feel a little unfinished, but I disagree wholeheartedly. A good novella is gonna give you everything a full-length novel is giving you, just in a cute little package. There are some novellas, like romance novellas, that are a little unserious, not a lot of pages, and they're just short and steamy and a fun time, which is totally valid, and I love those too. I've read so many novellas that are just amazing, and they give you an actual plot and emotion and character development and literally everything you would want from a full-length novel, just in a shorter amount of pages. I am kind of picky when it comes to novellas because there are authors that do it amazingly and it doesn't feel unfinished and it just feels like the right amount of pages and they just give me everything that I want. I have a lot of novellas to reference and compare to. I do have a novella playlist that I will link down below if you want more recommendations, but for this video I'm just going to be talking about my top 5 favorites that I read in 2024. This year I tried to read different genres, so I do actually have a couple of different genres to recommend. I have a horror novella, I have a cozy mystery novella, and then I have a couple of romances. Of course, to mix it up a little bit, and we'll do the romances last. Let's go ahead and talk about like my favorite horror and cozy mystery novellas that I read this year. So the first one is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This one had been recommended to me by so many people. I know people love T. Kingfisher, and I can completely understand why. Their writing style is so gothic and lyrical, and it was just such a fun time. I read this on audio and it was like less than 5 hours. Novella to me is usually anything less than 200 pages and less than a 5-hour audiobook. Like that is kind of the length that I'm referring to when I talk about novellas. Moves the Dead is the first book in the Sworn Soldier series. I have read the second installment, but this one was my favorite. It is also an Edgar Allan Poe retelling. I think it's a retelling of What Falls from the House of Usher, if I'm not mistaken. I hadn't read that before I read this one, I'm gonna be honest. I did go back and read it, and it is a pretty much exact retelling. So if you are a fan of Edgar Allan Poe and his work, then you will really, really love this novella. It follows our main character, Alex Easton. They are a retired soldier, and they end up getting word that one of their childhood friends is severely ill, so they go to their ancestral home to figure out what's going on, and this house is pretty horrifying. I don't want to over-explain any of these plots because they are novellas, but I will say that this book was equal parts horrifying as it was cozy. It's gory, but it's also lyrical, and there's something about the writing style that just feels very gothic and completely just captures you. So I highly recommend this novella if you like horror books or if you are new to horror books. I am not incredibly well versed in the horror genre. I'm the biggest scaredy cat to ever scaredy cat. Quite literally my own shadow terrifies me. So I don't read a lot of horror, but this one was just done so well. It was spooky, but not too spooky. So I really liked it, and I would highly recommend it. Next novella that I really ended up loving is actually a cozy mystery. Now, I am a big fan of cozy mysteries. I read them often, and I have been searching for a good novella cozy mystery series to recommend. I feel like it is particularly hard to write a good cozy mystery novella because to be able to plot a real, like, true mystery and give backstory and character development and all those things, it's hard to do in such a short amount of pages, and a lot of authors don't do it that well. I've read a lot of cozy mystery novellas that just miss the mark unless they are already a part of an existing series. I know some authors will have like a very long series and then do like a side novella, but that's when you already know the characters and the setting is already there. But to like have an actual beginning to end cozy mystery novella series, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but this author really excelled at it, and it is Daniel Garrett. It is her Touch of Magic mystery series. The first book is called Newlywed and Slightly Dead. This is a paranormal, witchy, cozy mystery series. It follows our heroine, who is a wedding planner for the supernatural community. She works for a party planning business and has been like slowly making her way up the ranks, and one of the more prestigious opportunities is to be able to plan weddings for the supernatural community in Seattle. He ends up getting a really big client. He is a vampire king. However, he ends up marrying a human, which is kind of taboo. A lot of the supernatural community doesn't agree with like bringing humans in, and his family hates it. Number one person who does not want this wedding to happen is the groom's mother, and the wedding ends up taking a dark turn when the groom's mother is found dead, and the bride is like the main suspect. So our heroine needs to figure out what's going on and try to make this wedding still happen. I really like this one because I felt like the mystery element was really well thought out and fully fleshed out, even though it was a shorter novella. I also really loved all of the side characters. She has a quirky best friend and also a love interest who is the detective on the case. This is a cozy mystery that I would recommend to romance readers because there was a pretty heavy romance subplot throughout the entire series. There are 3 books total. They're all novellas. They all each have their own individual mystery, but they're really fun. So I highly recommend this entire series. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some romance novellas that I absolutely loved. It was hard to narrow it down because there were so many, but I did do a lot of rereads this year, and it feels like kind of like cheating to throw in a reread, but I'm gonna do it anyways because my favorite novella author is Marina Vivancos, and every single time that I reread one of her novellas or one of her books in general, I'm just reminded of like how elite her books are. I'm constantly rereading her books, to be completely honest, because she's just my favorite. But one that I hadn't reread in a while, and I think I recommended it to you guys in like a video, and as I was talking about it, I was like, that book is actually really good. I'm gonna reread it. So I ended up rereading I've Walked Where You've Been by Marina Vivancos. This is a male-male romance. It follows our main characters, Maddie and Ethan, who live in a world where soulmates exist. Like, everyone has their designated soulmate, and once you meet them, there is a soul tether bond that connects you with this person. You can't like be far apart from this person or you will get physically ill, and forever your life is tied. Most people find their soulmates in like their 20s or their 30s, but our 2 characters end up finding each other extremely young. They're like 6 to 8 years old. As soon as they meet, they're immediately thrusted into this all-consuming soulmate bond where they can feel each other's emotions and they always have to be around each other, and it becomes quite overwhelming. 2 characters are complete opposites, polar opposites. One hero is more introverted and studious. The other hero is very extroverted, loves to play sports. They really don't have anything in common, so they start to resent the bond that they have. They hate that they're constantly have to be around each other. They don't understand why fate has pulled them together, and they go through their entire life living the same experiences but feeling so distant from each other. When they head into college, they realize that they're like kind of gonna be with each other forever and ever and ever. So they try to find some common ground and figure out why fate pulled them together, and it ends up following their second chance romance. It is incredibly romantic, so emotional, so unique, just perfect. Like, I constantly think about this novella. I constantly recommend it, and I just think that Marina Vivancos, hands down, is the best novella author because she's able to capture everything. The emotion, the connection, the romance, the plot, the steam. She's doing everything in 100 pages that some authors can't do in like 500, quite frankly. So I love her. I love the mental health representation in her books. I love the LGBTQ representation, the culture, just everything. She's fantastic. Another favorite romance novella was 5-Star Review by Marie Renard. This is a part of her Mate Hub series, but you can read it as a standalone. This is another male-male romance. It follows our hero Zane, who is a shifter. I think he's a werewolf shifter, maybe a coyote shifter. I'm not sure. He's a shifter, okay? It's a paranormal romance. And he is hopelessly in love with his best friend and his roommate, but the only problem is that his roommate is human and cannot know about the supernatural community, so he is not really able to express his feelings because he can't reveal his huge secret. Aiden, his best friend, actually reviews sexy toys online. One of his subscribers ends up sending a toy that is kind of modeled after a shifter's knot. So it is from the paranormal community, a community that he's not supposed to know about. When Zane realizes that he now knows about the supernatural community, he decides to just go for it and express his feelings, and it follows their friends to lovers romance. I feel like I didn't really describe that plot well because it is kind of unique. Basically, it is a very sweet friends to lovers romance with a lot of steamy times because our main character is reviewing sexy toys and his best friend is helping him out with that. So yeah, this one was fun. I think Marie Renard is one of those underrated authors on Kindle Unlimited. She writes a lot of fun male-male paranormal romances that I think a lot of people would enjoy if they gave her a chance. Another novella that I really did enjoy was The Waiter at Table 6 by Nikki Castle. I have read a novella by Nikki Castle before. It was called The Stranger in 8B. She writes like these meet cutes essentially. This book is an age gap romance where our heroine is the older one. She is going through quite a messy divorce and really looking to find herself again. In the divorce, she ends up getting their beach house, so she moves to this small town near the beach. She's slowly getting over her divorce and ready to start dating again, so she ends up going on a date but gets stood up. Yeah, her date stands her up at the restaurant. Once she realizes that her date stood her up, she decides that she's just gonna stay there, eat a nice dinner, have some wine, maybe have some expensive dessert, and she's gonna treat herself. As she's doing that, the waiter at the restaurant ends up flirting with her. He is a sexy guy who's a little bit younger than her, and she decides to just have some fun. I absolutely loved this one, even though it was like a super sexy, steamy novella, age gap romance. It was also kind of sweet, and I liked it a lot. Really hope Nikki Castle keeps writing novellas because she does them really well. Those are my top 5, but if I had to like sneak in a favorite, I did also love Boo Thing by Risley Adams. That one's a Halloween themed novella, and it also has an age gap romance where our heroine is the older one. Those are my favorite novellas in 2024. Let me know if you guys read any good novellas. I would love to check them out. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed this video, leave me an emoji. What emoji should you leave me? Just leave me a book emoji, a good old book emoji, because we were doing all of our bookish wrap-up videos. So leave me a book emoji and I'll know that we're bookish besties. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!